When you're playing Genshin, you do a 10 pull and you get 5-star Nahida. Now, what do you get with Nahida besides the little Radish that we all love? Well, Nahida is a catalyst-wielding Dendro user, and she is one of, if not the best, Dendro applicators in the game. In this video, we're going to look at how Nahida works.
Also, where the hell does her weapon go? Like, does anybody else, catalyst users, put their weapons away like this? No, just her? Okay, Nahida. Okay, that's just a little weird.
Now, today I did find out that I might be allergic to pumpkin seeds. So I was going to be on camera. I'm not. I don't feel great. So this is what we're going to do right now. Not only is Nahida a phenomenal applicator of Dendro through her skill, but her burst can also be very, very good. So we're going to be using her for two things, her skill and her burst. Her normal attacks aren't going to do much. They're just going to kind of apply Dendro. Her skill, however, is going to do a lot, and you have a tap and a hold. So if you just tap it, she's going to swing forward, doing an instance of Dendro damage on any enemy kind of within its AoE, and it is going to do Dendro damage. Now, it is also going to put this mark on the enemy. What does this mark do? Well, this mark will actually chain together enemies that have the mark on them. If you hit one enemy and cause a reaction, so burning, create a bloom, a spread, aggravate, whatever, it will do an instance of Dendro damage, but it will also do an instance of Dendro damage to the other enemy that is attached by the marks. So just by damaging one, you can damage a lot of them. And if you damage a lot of them, then it's going to reapply the mark to a bunch of them, having extra instance of Dendro damage. This is really, really good. We have a lot of damage coming through this, especially in something like an aggravate team, or spread aggravate team. This damage is going to start to kind of rack up. Now, if you use her hold skill, then we are going to be able to kind of mark enemies freely, right? It's not going to be just enemies in front of us. You can spin around, you can kind of move around, and she's going to be able to mark up to 8 enemies, right? So as we can kind of move around, you're going to see that it's going to like mark one. It doesn't have to be in the center or anything. Once she marks it, you can take them off the screen and it's still going to be able to keep the mark on them. So you'll notice that whenever I'm going through like my full rotation with like this Nearly Bountiful core team, I'm going to hold E and literally just spin around, marking as many enemies as I can, releasing it, and is going to do Dendro damage to them. And then of course, whenever we create blooms, it is going to reapply the Dendro damage because of the marks, because they're all linked together. So you can see that we're going to have a lot of Dendro application coming through Nahida. Now, not only is this really, really good and a lot of damage and a lot of Dendro because of how it works, her burst is also really, really good. A lot of Dendro-related teams are going to need Elemental Mastery. People like Kennich and Emily, they don't need it. They want the burning reaction for a different reason, but the aggravate reaction, the spread reaction, blooms, hyper blooms, burgeon, all of that kind of stuff, you do want Elemental Mastery. Now, her burst does not do any damage inherently. So you might be thinking, why is it so good? Well, the answer is because it gives a lot of different effects, right? And it kind of depends on the different party members that you have in your team. If you have Pyro members in your party, it is going to increase the damage dealt by the Trichrono Purification, which is going to be the mark from her skill. If you have Electro characters in your party, it's going to decrease the interval between the reapplication of the Trichrono Purification. And Hydro characters will going to increase the duration of her burst. If you have more than one character, up to 2, then it is going to increase these effects further. Now Pyro has a really clear kind of use, right? It is going to increase the damage dealt by Nahida's skill. The Electro one is going to decrease the amount of time between the marks, meaning that we can happen more often, meaning more damage. Hydro is going to increase the duration. The reason why Hydro is so good, though, is because of Nahida's passive, where whenever you use her burst, Nahida will share some of her EM to the rest of your party. The breakpoint of that is 1000 EM, and at 1000 EM, she is going to share 250 Elemental Mastery to our other party members, which makes this really, really good in things like Nearly Bountiful Core, or even like this Alhaitham kooky, Chiori's in there for a reason, Nahida pure spread aggravate team, because we're going to be getting the more damage from Nahida having Kuki in that team, and then in the other team with Nilu, we're going to get the longer durations. We don't necessarily care about the effects from Pyro and Electro in that team. We want the longer duration to share the EM because Bountiful Core scales with the Elemental Mastery. So real quick, let's look at what this burst can do whenever it starts to share the EM, right? So my Coco has 1154 Elemental Mastery. If we simply just use Nahida's burst and then go back to Coco, then she's going to have 1404 Elemental Mastery. So we gave her that 250 Elemental Mastery. So this is going to be very, very good. Now, it does only give this elemental mastery to your character on the field. So as you notice, Nahida's just went up. And then if we go back to Yao Yao, then hers went up, right? So I'm able to get over 1,000 elemental mastery, except for Nilou right now, with this. And I think that was even one artifact not on Yao Yao, oddly enough. Because of this team being Bountiful Core, we want as much elemental mastery as we can. And that's kind of how this team is built. Nilou with Ki is going to give a ton of elemental mastery. Nahida is going to give a ton of elemental mastery. And then Yao Yao having Instructor on her, even starting at like 700, 800 elemental mastery, I can get her well over 1,000 once all the buffs are up. And this is going to make sure that no matter who owns the blooms, this is going to be doing a ton of damage, as you're going to see. And with all of that said and done, you can see I can almost get to 1,700 elemental mastery on Coco and even over 1,000 on Nilou now. So again, it doesn't matter who owns the blooms anymore. They're still going to be doing a ton of damage in this. And now this domain doesn't give any elemental mastery buff. This is simply just from everything else. So you can see in teams where elemental mastery is really, really good, Bountiful Core, Aggravate, Spread, Burgeon, Hyper Bloom, things like that, Nahida is phenomenal for getting up to elemental mastery for the entire team, which is one of the reasons why she is one of the best Danger characters in the game. Now, for artifacts, we are, of course, using Deep Woods on her. This is going to be one of her best sets. You can use a different set if you're maybe like Sniper Nahida, but most of the time, Nahida is going to be your Deep Woods memory user. And then for this, of course, we're just going to run elemental mastery across the board. For weapons, of course, 1,000 Floating Dream is going to be her best. It's going to give her a ton of elemental mastery, but you can use others. You can use Sack Frags, but this is just going to give her a ton of elemental mastery. The passive is not going to be super, super great, but it's mainly going to just be for the amount of elemental mastery that it gives. If you don't have that one, then you can go down to Magic Guide, which is going to be a 3-star weapon, and actually this is going to give a fair good amount of elemental mastery. It's going to give more elemental mastery than some of the other 4-star options, so this is actually a really, really good one too. You can use like Sit Lolly's Starcaller's Watch. This is going to give 241 elemental mastery plus what I think like 260 something whenever it's fully maxed out, and then another 100, but she can't use the rest of the passive from this. And then of course you do have the Sumeru craftable weapon. This can be used if you have it at R5 because of how this works. Even though it doesn't have an elemental mastery main stat, it's going to have ER, which is actually decent for Nahida to have her burst up off of cooldown, but you obtain the Wax and Wane effect after an elemental reaction is triggered, which Nahida's entire kit triggers a lot of elemental reactions. Gaining 24 elemental mastery while losing attack. That's fine, we don't care about that. For every 0.3 seconds, 1 stack can be gained with a max of 5 stacks. So this is going to give us 120 elemental mastery as well as the energy recharge. Now, if we are to R5 that gets doubled to 240 elemental mastery, and this is craftable, so we can get 240 elemental mastery out of this and energy recharge. So this is actually a fairly good weapon to be using on her. You do have to make sure that you're constantly triggering the elemental reactions because you'll start to lose the stacks, but if you can get into your good rotation, especially with Nahida with the reapplication of her skill and apply the reactions, then this can be a phenomenal option for Nahida. Now that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, I am feeling down a little bit, so the next couple of videos are probably going to be with the PNG tuber. So I will see you on that one. Cookie has green hair, I have green hair, and I'll see you in the next one.